Well, joined now by Sean Casey, the host of the Mayor's Office podcast. Sean, there are ebbs and flows in every season, but right now the losses and injuries are starting to pile up for the Yankees. So where do you see the club right now?
At the ebbs and flows of the season, Joe. You know, I mean, it's a marathon, not a sprint. To be the best team in baseball, you're probably great for 4 months. You're going to get crushed for a month, and you're going to be average for a month. And I think that's what the best teams look like. So, you know, when you saw the Yankees just cruising along, you knew at some point they were going to hit a bump in the road, and I think that they're hitting it right now.
Giancarlo Stanton, one of those people who are dealing with the injuries right now on the 10-day IL with a hamstring strain. How tough is it for Big G, given all the work he did this offseason to improve his durability?
Well, you know, when you hear G talk like the way he just did, you know, I just think of Chad Bowling, you know, the mental performance coach, and the influence Chad has on Big G and that whole clubhouse, because Chad's big thing is like, get to neutral thinking, right? Let's not make stories up one way or the other if it's good or bad. Let's accept reality. And the reality is, hey, G pulled his hamstring. He's probably going to miss 4 weeks. What's the rehab you have to do now? So I think the one thing about being around Giancarlo is the guy, you know, is so good at that neutral thinking. He knows exactly what he needs to do. He's not going to just run with it and say, oh, woe is me. You know, he just wants to get back, get healthy, and be ready to help the Yankees win.
All right, so that's how G is going to handle it. But how do the Yankees handle it? How are they going to make up for Stanton's 18 home runs and 45 RBIs he has so far this season?
Yeah, well, you know, Aaron Boone, you know, he's going to have to find a way to, you know, hopefully DJ can get hot here, you know, and get that bat going. Obviously, with Riz being down too, that's a big blow to that lineup with him and G. But they have enough firepower. I mean, they're pretty loaded. They have 2 superstars at the top of that lineup, and I just feel like they're good enough to weather this storm until those guys can get back.
All right, Sean. Well, you came up with Cleveland and played for the Reds. So with the Yankees visiting the Mets this week, what does it mean when 2 teams from the same area are matching up for bragging rights?
Well, I think the biggest thing, you know, obviously the Subway Series, you know, as we call it, you know, with the Yankees and the Mets, I think it's a big deal because, you know, the Yankees are the Yankees and the Mets are trying to get to that status. And obviously Stevie Cohen being having a lot of money and the payroll's high for the Mets, and they're trying to kind of match that. But the Yankees are the Yankees. So I think this is always a fun game for New Yorkers, man. Fun series for New Yorkers when the Mets and the Yankees match up. It's just, you know, it's bragging rights time.
Sean, you got your first major league hit in your first at bat. So take us into the mind of Ben Rice here. What's it like to get that first knock in the big leagues?
I tell you what, when you get that first knock, Joe, at least you think to yourself, all right, I made it. Like, if I'm done, if this is it, I got one in the books and I'm in the record books forever. So it's a big deal, man. And so for Ben Rice getting his first knock, it's a cool moment for not only you, but all the people that have helped you kind of get there. Your mom, your dad, your buddies, your college friends, your high school coach, all your coaches. So, you know, when you get that first big league knock, that's just not for you. That's for everybody that got you there.
Were you smiling before you got to first base the way Ben Rice was?
Oh, man. I was, man. I was. I hit a ground ball to the right side. It was a 1-2 pitch slider from a guy named Jeff Darwin in Chicago. I don't even think I felt the first 3 pitches. I was like, where am I? You know what I mean? I felt like I was in the spirit world. You know what I mean? I got that 1-2 slider. I hooked one in the hole. And as I was running to first, I saw the second baseman just out of his reach. And I literally thought to myself, man, all those swings, all those years, dreaming about being here. I'm here. There's the first one. So for Ben Rice, man, this whole experience, it's all new and it's some of the best times of your life.
All right, Sean. So he doesn't look overwhelmed at the plate right now. Got a couple of hits, a couple of walks. What's going to be the biggest difference for him moving up from AAA, where he just had a few games, now at the big league level?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing is just getting acclimated to the big leagues. You know, facing the big league pitching. The pitching's at another level at the big leagues. I mean, it's the bottom line. These guys are 1%ers. These guys are the sharks. You know what I mean? So there's no break. You know, when you're AA, AAA, there might be a break. A guy comes out of the pen, he's throwing 88, 90 miles an hour. In the big leagues, there's no real break. When these guys are mid to upper 90s, they're all cutting it, sinking it. They all have a 3-pitch mix, even out of the bullpen. So I think the biggest thing is learning the league, learning the pitchers, and just being able to slow down. I mean, it speeds up for you when you first get up there. So just being able to slow down, realize that you're there for a reason because you earned the right to get called up, and just be you.
All right, it's not just at the plate, though. He's moving from catcher. He was drafted in the 12th round out of Dartmouth. He's got just 55 games at first base in the minor leagues. How difficult is that moving positions, and how impressed are you with what you've seen from him so far in the field?
Yeah, it's impressive. I mean, the fact that you come up to the big leagues, they're like, hey, listen, you're not going to catch. You're going to play first. And we know you've only played a few games there because there's a learning curve, Joe. I mean, any new position, I don't care if you're in high school. You got to put the reps in and figure it out where to be. Where are you in the double cut? Where are you in the balls that you're the cut home and bunt plays and picks and all that stuff? So there's a lot more going on at first base than you think. But Ben Rice is a really good athlete, and I think he's going to be just fine over there putting the reps in.
Last week, the Yankees lost Aaron Judge for a game after getting hit by a pitch. The Bombers then hit Orioles shortstop Gunnar Henderson. Sean, I get it. You got your shot, we should get ours. But when these guys are making as much money as they are, and Major League Baseball is starving for stars, do you think the league is really going to let vigilante justice play out on the field? All right, they did in this case, maybe.
No. But I think, listen, Joe, I mean, at the end of the day, I think there's something to be said about what happened. I mean, Judge got hit. That's never a good thing. Obviously, you don't want to see that. But the way they hit Gunnar Henderson ran down to first base. It's over, and we move on. I think sometimes, with the umps giving warnings and people are like, what's going on here? And then, sometimes I think if you went back old school and you let the players handle it, I sometimes think it would be better. But the league's never going to do that, and the umpires won't do it either. And I get it. I totally understand. But kind of being from that old school mentality, I'm like, I liked it when the players would settle it themselves.
I'm sure there are a couple Orioles batters who wish that the umpires had given out some warnings. Of course, you can always like, follow, and subscribe to the Mayor's Office podcast on YouTube, or you can listen wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for the time, as always, Sean.
Great seeing you, Joe. Thanks, brother.